I'm speechless. I'm speechless because I wasn't really happy with this episode, for a number of reasons, but the bigger three reasons were: one, Lois at the fortress pretty much talking down to a soulless Jor-El. Two, Clark pulling out the ring. And three, Tess Mercer is actually Lutessa Lena Luthor. Yeah, this season so far still for me is not living up to what we were promised by the producers. I'm not feeling the awesomeness, not since Homecoming. I'm not feeling the awesomeness at all. Good points I can take from the episode, obviously Lindsay Harriet as Lindsay Hartley rather, Justin Hartley's wife, as Mad Harriet, one of the female Furies. We've also got, I can't remember the actress's name, it was Christina something, as Granny Goodness. You had Michael Dangerfield in there, so we've been introduced to Desard and Granny Goodness in this episode, as well as I say, Mad Harriet and the rest of the female Furies. The episode sort of started off with a young Tess running, in a room, and she was listening to a nice little ballet dancing toy thing, but then she gets frightened by somebody outside of her room, and then she's running, hides, gets caught, gets found out, this, that and the other. It turns out to be Granny Goodness. But as the episode progresses, I kept thinking to myself, well, what am I seeing here? What exactly am I watching? And I think it was more about Tess. The episode was more focused on Tess. Yes, we also saw Julian Sands as Jor-El and Helen Slater as Lara in this episode. One question about that particular scene: why at that precise moment did that hologram of Jor-El and Lara have to be shown at that specific moment? It's not like as if Clark used a crystal. It just suddenly appeared because Lois pretty much sort of, I don't know, demanded it, or she was talking down to Jor-El, and suddenly this video appears out of nowhere. Obviously, the biggest guest star in this on this episode was Terry Hatcher as Ellen Lane, Lois's mother, and she basically recorded a video, or at least a series of videos anyway. So Lois watched one of them just to get an ease of mind, like a closure and a sense of closure, as it were, between herself and her mother, because obviously she says as her mother was dying in hospital, she never went to see her, but it was purely because her mother told them not to allow for her daughters to visit her in hospital. But I have to say, excellent performance from Terry Hatcher. She was wearing a wig, by the way, because her hair is actually a lot longer than what you saw in the episode. Overall, yeah, as I say, the bad points really: Clark pulling out an engagement ring. Oh dear, you producers and writers really have taken it way too far as I'm concerned. And seriously though, my other main concern was, what was Lois doing in the fortress? Why was Lois in the fortress? To patch things, what, she now become the peacemaker between Clark and Jor-El? When has that ever been a factor? Kudos to her for doing it, for being so brave to go all the way to the fortress and having to do that. But yeah, that for me didn't bear any relevance whatsoever to the episode. I've sort of said it from I think probably from S.H.I.E.L.D., no, not even from S.H.I.E.L.D., from Supergirl, that Lois does not need to be in every episode this season, and this again, Abandoned, has proved that she doesn't need to be in it. There was, for me, I was watching Lois thinking, what is your real relevance in this episode? Yes, okay, you watched a video with your mother, that could have been brought in another episode. I mean, this episode was a big episode in some ways, but the reason I say big, because if you look at the number of guest stars that appeared in this episode, Terry Hatcher, as I said, was one of them, Julian Sands, Helen Slater, then people who played, you know, Granny Goodness, Desard, Godfrey, Lindsay Hartley as Mad Harriet. So big names. You know, a huge guest cast was present in this episode. So I felt like there's so many things was happening at once. It was difficult for me to keep up at one point, where I thought, okay, so that's just happened. Okay, right, hang on, what's happened here? And you know, I was obviously finding it just a little bit difficult to keep up with it. But very dark episode. It was very gritty. We saw how Granny Goodness, Godfrey, and Desard are all together for the first time. Desard saying how Godfrey has been anointed as the third minion. I love that, by the Lord, the Dark Lord, Darkseid. We obviously, Granny Goodness has actually been looking after Tess previously when she was younger, and it turns out that she was trying to train Tess to be one of her Furies by the sounds of things. But apparently her powerful parents didn't want that to happen. But I'm still not happy about Tess being a Luthor angle. I think that is just the weakest, the biggest cop-out so far this season. I mean, never mind Jimmy Olsen being Henry James Olsen, but Tess Mercer being Lutessa Lena Luthor. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Not one single bit. You know, for me that's just doesn't bear any relevance whatsoever, because now it's made me think that Tess Mercer was never Tess Mercer to begin with. You know, there she was. She arrived in season 8. She was seen as the, you know, successor of Luthor Corp, of Lex Luthor's empire. Then we find out she was an agent of Checkmate, and then she decides to switch sides over to Clark. You know, pledge allegiance to Clark. Obviously, beforehand she was helping out Zod and everything. I don't know what to think. I don't know where they're going with it now. And now we know that, now this obviously now confirms that come the episode Luthor, we know that that's when John Glover will be returning. But apparently there's been words of an Elseworld has been mentioned regarding that episode. I haven't read the official description, but I've seen some tweets by some people. They don't particularly seem happy with it. But yeah, I'm sorry, but so far, again, this episode, I mean, last week's episode, you know how happy I was for last week's episode. Ambush was pretty good, but I felt, you know, barring the exception of Lindsay Hartley as Mad Harriet, I may be able to buy the Granny Goodness. I know that Craig Byrne of Krypton Sight was expecting the actress who plays Coach Beast, I believe, on Glee, would have been an awesome Granny Goodness, and I have to agree with him. She definitely looks the part. But this particular actress who played Granny Goodness wasn't too bad. But yeah, again, you know. But hey, what can you do? You know. Yeah, I'm just speechless. I don't know. I wasn't really excited about this episode. You know, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, are you looking forward to Abandoned? You know, Terry Hatcher's going to be in it." I said, "Yeah, Terry Hatcher's going to be in it, but what else is going to be in it?" And now that I've seen it, I'm thinking, "Oh, right, okay. Should I swallow this one and just let it go? I might as well. You know, there's nothing else I can do. I just got to look forward to, is it Icarus is the next one, I think? Yeah. No, sorry, not Icarus. It's Patriots, isn't it? That's with Aquaman, Mira, Green Arrow. That's going to look interesting. And Deathstroke. By the way, I'm going to seriously rant next week about the casting of Deathstroke. Michael Hogan. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there anyway. But let me know what you thought of Abandoned. Me personally, the engagement ring, Lois being at the fortress, and Tess Mercer not being Tess Mercer anymore. I don't know what to think anymore. I really don't. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, and good night.